Hello, everybody, and welcome to SOULScast, episode 3, number 3, version 3. I don't know what we're calling them. Today, we're going to be talking about what makes us excited for Dawntrail, the newest expansion coming to Final Fantasy XIV. It's opening in less than 24 hours, and I'm sure we're all excited. I'm joined today by Rhel, a series regular.
Hello.
And we've got two new faces, both from the free company Souls. We have Tohme.
Hey.
And we have Chiefy.
Hello.
Right, so let's just jump straight into it. Rhel, what are you most excited for?
Well, Pictomans for starters,
Mm-hmm.
and Black Mage changes, and the story, of course.
Well, okay, so you say Black Mage changes. Let's expand on that a bit, because we all know how the changes have been received so far has not been the most or the biggest outpouring of support from some of the community. So what about it is exciting to you?
New spells, the new finisher for starters. And I am actually happy with the predictability that it seems to be coming to the job. So, I mean, it's new stuff for Black Mage, so I'm excited to try it out.
Mm-hmm. So when you say
And make a
predictability,
judgment after that.
Well, when you say predictability, you basically mean how there is no more proccing of ice mana regen and no proccing for thunder, stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, you know when things are gonna happen, and they basically removed sharp cast because you were always using that to get a certain thunder proc anyway. So it's like, well, let's bake this into the spell.
Yeah,
pretty much. So I'm excited to just try changes for Black Mage.
okay. And
more
moving
about
on to
Pictomans.
okay, shut up now. Now moving on to Tohme. What are you excited about?
Well, like I said before we started the podcast, I am for the first time going into an expansion as a casual, so I'm looking at a few other perspectives than I ever have before. Before I always focused on the fights that would be coming up and the raiding. This time I'm trying to take a different approach, a more chill approach. So I mostly look forward to actually exploring the new areas, to seeing the whole vibes of the new world. I'm actually very curious about the story that's coming up, and I have very high hopes for it to be a fun experience. I already really like the characters that we could get a glimpse at in the trailer and at the end of the story. And of course, the giant axe for warriors. That's one thing I am very excited about.
So are there any characters in particular that you're looking forward to seeing expanded on in Dawntrail?
Well, I doubt it will be a big surprise if I say Erenville now.
Yeah, the simps are out in force for this character.
Yes. Well, I don't think I'm simping that much for him, but I really enjoy to have Viera, who is not so much weak-minded. He seems very strong-willed and curious, and I really enjoy that personality of his. And I think we will be out for good adventures with him.
That makes sense. I think Erenville is probably going to be one of my favorite characters as well, just considering how cool he is as a character.
Yeah.
And Chiefy, what about you?
Well, we're going on vacation, man. Who isn't not excited for that?
We're going to the beach. It's the beach
Yeah,
episode.
to the beach. Then just lay down and then 8.1.
8.1?
We skip we skip 7 because we're on vacation.
So we just completely the entire expansion just doesn't exist.
Yes.
Okay.
And we go to 8.1.
Okay, what do you expect to happen in 8.1 in 2 years' time then?
Better PvP, better PvE. Open world PvP, slaughtering people.
So is that basically like the only thing that you want for 14? Like you're happy with the classes, you're happy with the story, you're happy with the zones and the graphics. You just want open world PvP.
Yes. Actually, yes.
Why do you want open world PvP?
Well, I played this since 2014 already,
Mhm.
and my first contact with PvP in Final Fantasy was through the Wolf Stands,
Mhm.
and that was okay PvP. It was a real learning curve, but it was fun. Like when you are a black mage back then, it was like more you are CCing mostly and running around,
Yeah.
and the healers were actually healers. Tanks had their
Oh
some
god.
own roles also, so it was really like the dungeon, but then in PvP. And nowadays it is like healers are just DPSing, just like in PvE. So yeah, so
Okay.
it is like the same now again.
So do you
But
expect for 7.0 that we're going into tomorrow,
mhm,
do you expect them to increase the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? There was a fancy word that I had in my head and I've already lost it. But basically, do you expect them to expand upon the PvP aspects of it to kind of fit a different type of PvP sort of game, or do you just kind of expect them to keep going as they are?
I think they will keep going like this, and then Crystal Tower will be like, oh, Crystal Conflict will be like the same. And I
Crystal, oh
believe
yeah.
I believe there is like a new PvP mode coming, but I'm not sure about it.
Okay. Was it in the patch notes or something? I don't really check
It was
PvP,
like
so
in one of the fanfests, the first one, I believe. They say like they will change about the PvP,
oh,
like
okay.
to make it more compatible, casual, because Crystal Conflict is like more, let's say, average professional
Yeah.
competition. So
Okay.
it is more like for the
Interesting.
casual. It is like, I believe, like 3 versus 3.
First to three.
Yeah,
That would be like fighting games, so I guess it makes a bit more sense. Make it a
yeah,
first to three. It's a good format for a competitive, for a way of getting into a competitive environment. So you get into that
yes.
mindset of you can't just infinitely keep rematching and trying out the same things. You have to learn to adapt. But I guess making it or opening it up rather to allow it to be more casual friendly is a good idea, because I think PvP in 14 at the moment it very much seems to be, or I guess PvP in general, it always seems to be looked upon as this kind of elitist thing where because you're fighting against other people, you have to play the meta classes and you have to play them perfectly. Whereas sometimes, you get bored of going into savage raids and maybe you want to, like Chiefy says, just beat people up for half an hour.
Yeah, like just wandering around. Well, I'm a Lalavel, so I'm small. You don't see me. And then I jump just out of the bush to kill you.
I mean,
Why is that not fun?
I would personally love to
And
see
then jump on
some
you,
some form of open world
teabagging.
PvP as well. Did any of you play New World?
No,
No. Tomo, did
I
you play New
never
World?
No.
played. Well, I played PvP in World of Warcraft
Mm,
and ASO, but yeah, every time I coming back to Final Fantasy, it is like, yeah,
yeah.
my
So
thing.
basically, in New World, you had a flag system. So as soon as you walked out of a sanctuary, or as you were about to walk out of a sanctuary, you could flag yourself as PvP enabled. And I would kind of love it if this game had that, so that you could
Yes.
just wander around completely non PvP flagged, play the entire game, do every single thing as a PvE player. But
Mhm.
then, if you want to, you can walk out of Gridania and get instantly ganked by a team of Maelstrom who hate you.
Mhm.
I think that would be
I wonder,
really, really fun.
I wonder
It
how
will
that
be
would work
fun.
with the PvP skills though, because they have the entire different set. So in a PvE environment, with the
Oh,
PvP, would they
true.
just swap into
Yeah.
PvP skills for the PvE
Yeah.
environment, or would that all only apply the moment another player hits you?
No, I'd say that if you flag as PvP, then you don't get access to your PvE skills, but you also can't be targeted by the environment, as it were. So so you don't have to deal with the environment in terms of fates or mobs or hunt marks or anything. You're out in the world purely to perform PvP. Yeah, exactly.
On a manhunt.
Exactly. Yes.
I am quite fond of that idea.
It was a really, for what it's worth, New World had a really good PvP system. No matter what you think of that game in general, the PvP system was really, really fun. And when I ran a guild over there, it was really, really entertaining. Where it was just like, cool, who wants to jump into a PvP party? There'd be like 20 of us. We'll roll out to the neighboring territory. We'll PvP flag and do our thing. Sometimes we'd lose, sometimes we'd win, but it was just a lot of fun. So Rhel.
Yes.
Black Mage and Pictomancer. Obviously, you're going to
Yes.
be playing Pictomancer first with me in Dungeons. I'll be playing Viper. Differences between the two. What do you think would be the major difference between how you play each of them? Because they both have long casts. They both have limited mobility. But now with Black Mage and the new moving the ley lines to you, and with Pictomancer having the, I guess, the dash ability, what do you think the major differences are going to be, besides obviously the potencies that we've seen in the patch notes?
Well, based on the caster podcast we did, I think the difference is that Black Mage might be a bit more mobile actually, because you have your triple casts, you have your polyglots, you have your guaranteed procs of Firestarter, your Thunderheads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't think Pictomancer has that many. Well, I suppose they have the weapons, but like main rotation wise,
Yeah.
it seemed like they are a bit more static. Although their version of ley lines is a bit larger than Black Mage's, so I guess that's good.
It's quite big, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm expecting them to actually be quite similar. Black Mage may be marginally more mobile,
Right.
with their instacasts.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then with Pictomancer specifically, what makes you want to pick it up first and dive right into it, other than the fact that it looks really cool and cartoony and like a fresh new take on the magic stuff?
Well, it's mostly that, and the fact that I've been playing Black Mage since The Realm Reborn.
Fair.
So it's a new caster that looks interesting. That took a while for me to warm up to it actually, but yeah, it's mostly that it's a new caster that looks a bit different than what we've had so far,
Yeah.
and it looks a lot busier maybe than what we've had, minus maybe Summoner post rework.
Oh man, that Summoner rework, people were not happy. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it is what it is. Who knows? Maybe they're behind the scenes now, frantically trying to change stuff and improve stuff because of the backlash for Black Mage and Summoner. But you never know. I mean, we had the prelim patch notes, and then we had the complete patch notes, and people were already dooming about the potency increases for Pictomancer and saying that Black Mage is dead now. And I don't agree. I think that it's either a mistake because they don't really know how people are going to play Pictomancer and optimize it, and then when they do, just like Reaper, they're going to nerf the potencies, and then it will come down a bit and probably be below Black Mage. But if it is intended, then that just means that we've got a new top DPS on the block.
I don't think they are going to put Pictomancer over Black Mage purely because Pictomancer does bring a party buff and shields.
Yeah.
So with the whole utility tax, they will drop it lower. But I'm not sure because I haven't read the posts, but I'm imagining people are forgetting the 30% flat buff that Black Mage gets to all of its spells.
Yeah, for Enochian.
Due to Enochian, like potencies, yes, but then you add the 30% damage boost to all of your spells on top of that. So the resulting damage, who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out soon enough in just a few hours. I swear, today has been agonizing. Like, I've tried so hard to fill my time with things. Like, I had a Japanese lesson today. I went out and I got some lunch. I did some exercises at home, and now I'm just kind of like, what else do I do? Please, Yoshi, just give me access to this damn expansion. And Tohme, so you were talking about the zones and the one new skill that Warrior's getting. Since you're not entirely sure if you're going to be raiding or not, what about Warrior still stands out to you apart from all the other tanks that are coming, or I guess the new changes that are coming in Dawntrail? Besides, obviously, Big Axe, Retribution Axe, or whatever you called it.
Well, to be fair, I really like tanking in general. But Warrior stood out to me ever since Stormblood. Back then, it was kind of still dubbed as the tank job that is the weakest, or where you had to manage mostly your cooldowns while others could heal themselves more. By now, it is a self-healing class where you don't really need anyone else. Like, I could go... It might sound
Say it.
cocky, I'm
Say it.
aware,
Say
but
it.
I
know what you're
could
gonna
go
say.
into dungeons on my own and I would be fine.
Yes.
Just the class itself has saved my ass so many times when my parties failed, because I can keep myself going without problems. It helps a lot with the trust issues that I have in Party Finder.
Yeah.
And it's just so comforting. I don't know. Maybe Rhel can understand the comforting part with his Black Mage, but for me, it really only started to feel comforting when I picked up the Warrior as my main class. Like before that, when I was a ranged DPS, it was always fun. But I noticed my brain wandering off because it was kind of boring and not that much fun and not that challenging as it sometimes is to tank, where you actually have to focus on more things, where you feel a sort of responsibility for others, where you can look out for other people more and still be the one with the big axe that gives the tone for the rest of the people. Like, I'm quite a quiet person, but I can shake that off if I play the Warrior. Like, nobody knows that I'm a shy person if I just go into a dungeon. And this excitement I still carry on, and this excitement always brings me back to tanking. So even though we don't see a lot as of now for changes, I know that I will still enjoy it. Like, every time that I go and do some sort of content, like, I'm not mad that it's not that wild of a change, because I tried other MMOs during this year again. Like, I gave Black Desert a chance again, and just being thrown into that and having all these abilities just for you in level 1. It was not fun, and everything just made me compare it to Final Fantasy again.
Yeah.
And every MMO I tried, I was always saying the same sentence of, my character doesn't feel unique. I don't feel like this is me in a character. I don't have a lot of choices for the looks. I miss being someone with a big axe, and it's always the same. And my friends were always like, yeah, then go back to playing Final Fantasy. And that's just what I had to do to feel this joy. So I just go into the new expansion with this happiness, just to play it again and to explore. And yeah, that's really it. I sound super geeky right now.
No, not at all. It
But it's
absolutely
okay.
makes sense to me, because
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of do something similar when there's a content drought for MMOs. You know, I think I even played WoW at one point, and that was a low point in my life.
It's okay.
But
It's not that bad.
but I also
Yeah,
I
it
also
used to be
played.
good.
Well, that's the thing, is that I had never played it before, and I thought, you know what, I'm not really playing anything else at the moment. Let me jump on WoW and see what it's like. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world, at least at level 1, playing a new game. But I don't think I ever returned to it after that one play session, just because it just didn't feel right. And then like Black Desert Online, I really enjoy action adventure games like DMC and Bayonetta and all that kind of stuff. So having a more free-form kind of combat in an MMO was really appealing to me. And on the surface, it's a really cool combat system. But everything else about Black Desert just screams like 1990s MMO. It just it doesn't give you the comforts of something built recently, which is a shame because I know tens of thousands of people that still play that game religiously because it's the only
Yeah.
MMO that they'll ever enjoy.
I feel like they have the same sort of love that we have for Final Fantasy. Like some sort of MMO will ruin you for any other MMO. And it's okay, I'm not mad that it's Final Fantasy for me because it's just so comforting for me to come back and play this game and see the characters again and the story. It carries itself. I don't have that feeling with any other MMO that I've used to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're very happy that we haven't lost you to another MMO. Speaking of different MMOs, Chiefy, and the whole PvP aspect of it, what would you say is your most fun, the most fun that you've had in a PvP MMO?
The most fun.
Yeah.
Winning?
In terms of which PvP system in an MMO did you enjoy the most?
Well, it is more like for Final Fantasy. I will always coming back,
Mhm.
and it is like I do my daily roulettes, and then I go to frontline in Final Fantasy, and in WoW, it is almost like the same. Like I don't go like competitive because it is too high, and I would throw my computer out of the window as soon as possible. Then,
Mm-hmm.
but if you go like multiple teams against each other, then it is fun. And it is, yeah, fun to win, but also that you can improve actually, because every job in Final Fantasy you can play on one character, and
Mhm.
every job has his unique role actually. Like, for
Okay.
example, Warrior in PvP is fun. You use your primal rend to stun multiple people in an area, and
Yeah.
then you run away. That is mostly what you do.
Okay.
Try to kill as many people. It's the same like for Dark Knight. You jump in, you run away. I play mostly now Machinist, and you can just shoot from a distance, and you see the HP bar like from 75% to zero in
Yeah.
just one move. That is fun. But it doesn't mean you're gonna win because you need other people do the same, and that is not always the case in Final Fantasy because mostly people use it as like free AFK experience slash
Yeah.
poetic slash whatever you get now.
Yeah, I hate that. Not a fan. What so you prefer Frontlines over Wolves Den?
Yes.
Okay. Would you be in favor of stuff like World PvP where it basically is, I don't know, 25 or 32 Maelstrom versus 32 adders? Or would you want to keep it
Well,
kind of more condensed? Like,
it would be like a nice plot twist for the story mode if it is like faction against faction,
Hmm.
like the Erders against the Maelstrom against Ulda. Like now we are like together, all the cities, all the big cities, all the factions are like
yeah, we're all united.
we are all united. But that would be a really nice plot twist, like out of the nowhere there is war again.
Chiefy
Oh,
just wants
well,
war. He wants bloodshed. He wants death and destruction. I mean,
After
not
all
really
the times
like
WoW
that,
tried to
but
do that, I preferred Final Fantasy stayed away from silly war plot lines that have to end in another peace so that they can have another war 2 years later.
yeah. No, but it is also like if you look like PvP, it changed a lot. Like in other games, it mostly stayed the same, and in Final Fantasy, we went through PvE skills in PvP into actually a separate PvP skills, and that is like really unique in any games, I believe.
yeah, I don't think there are separate Well, not to the degree that 14 does it, where you have completely separate hotbars and skills that do different things. Which is, I do wonder why they did that though, because I would have just thought that it would have been easier to adapt the current skills and maybe just make them more condensed. But they've made like new animations for PvP skills and and like straight up just new skills and everything. Yeah, it's an interesting system that they've devised. It's kind of a shame that Yoshi or whoever doesn't want to implement some kind of open world PvP, because I would kind of like it. But I think moving kind of tangentially onto what Chiefy was saying, so we have this new expansion coming up, and apparently there's going to be some kind of quote unquote civil war going on where we have to pick a side between the Scions. We'll obviously have that choice made for us, because as much as I have incredible faith in the story writers of Final Fantasy XIV, I don't think they'll be able to make two completely separate pathways with two stories as fleshed out as full expansions like Shadowbringers and Stormblood or whatever. So obviously that choice will be made for us who we end up siding with. But it would be interesting to maybe have that translate to some form of PvP. So nothing like a massive all-out war, like was suggested earlier, but something a lot more condensed where you do have to fight people again, but instead of it being Adders versus Maelstrom versus Uldar, it's, I don't know, Team Alphino versus Team Alisaie, for example. I think that could be something interesting to be explored, but I don't know how much they would want to invest in the PvP side of stuff outside of what they've already got. What do you guys think?
Well, you mentioned it that like those, like through the story, you need to pick one side or something. We don't know how it will go. Maybe it is like you can go to the right, I can go to the left. Maybe it is. I don't know. We don't know. We see it tomorrow.
Yeah, of course.
But,
I'm just speculating based on like how much work it would actually be to have two completely different stories and two completely different paths be as fleshed out as just one coherent story.
Yeah. Well, it will be like, there was also like a suggestion, like I believe in 2.5, I believe, when the front lines are just popping off and like that. Back in the days, it was like free company against free company.
Oh, yeah.
And that was also like a good idea, but they never make it through it. Like, and now we have, normal PvP. I don't know what to say about it now.
Well, I think Guild v Guild could be very, very fun as well. You would have to. Would you have to cater it? Probably not, because I guess it's basically just the return on the investment, right? What do they see as worth it to implement new PvP systems that change PvP drastically enough that will give them the biggest return? And what we all know is that Final Fantasy XIV is known for its amazing story, and that's what most people are sold on when we tell people to play this game. It's the story, it's the characters, and it's the fights. But when you invest in things that aren't that, how much money and resources and time do you pour into it development-wise to make it worth anybody's time, really? And I think if people are kind of happy with the current PvP being iterated on, rather than being overhauled or having massive additions added to it, then that's what they're going to stick with. But I think if they had unlimited money and unlimited time, then yeah, I would like to see a bit more expansion of the PvP stuff, returning to maybe free company v free company, or smaller kind of clans v clans. So instead of you can have your free company, but then you can make a clan within that free company which is dedicated to PvP or whatever. You know, something a bit expanded.
Well, I think they
the
also
rewards for free company against free company, you get the free company.
You just own the free company after you beat them.
Yes.
Oh my god.
You beat the free company, and then you get the free company also.
Now you're their king.
Yeah.
I think they also look at, because
and then
they seem to
all
vary
out,
on.
and then it's really your free company.
Go on, Rhel.
Yeah, but I think
Lalafell, I should be evil.
Not all LFLs are evil. Nanamo's not evil. And Kryle's not evil. But I think on the developer side, I think they also look at because they seem to be very on like observing other MMOs and stuff like that. So I think they also look at what kind of an impact bringing something in has on the community as a whole. Because
Yes.
it might just be my experience, but generally, the more prominent PvP is, it brings a certain element of competitiveness, which generally, by my experience, breeds a certain level of toxicity. Maybe
Yes.
not the right word. So
Mm.
maybe it might be that they go, well, if we start bringing free company PvPs, well, that brings in like PvP free companies, which will then breed its own community. And how does that impact the game as a whole? Because Final Fantasy does kind of have a very cushiony, soft kind of community reputation as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you're bringing the social aspect, because the idea of having clan clashes, so to call, seems really appealing. Back in the day when PvP was a lot more niche in FF, we also had more players that were really into it. Now, with the recent changes, or not so recent anymore, it became a lot more popular, I feel like. Like, a lot of people started playing PvP with Endwalker, and it kind of lost its prestige a little bit, if I may say so. Back in the
Yes.
day, you often met people again and again, and you kind of remembered their names even because there weren't that many players. And now it's just very broad. Like, people that were purely PvE in my friend groups, they now play PvP and they love it because it's so flashy, it's unique, you have different skills. It brings them so much joy to feel powerful for once, I guess, against other players. So I can see where it could turn toxic real quick. And I feel like in Final Fantasy, they try to really not support the toxic traits from other MMOs. We can see
Yeah.
that if we look at the rating as well, where they have simplified it all so that people wouldn't flame other people for their windows and for their mismatching of skills. And I feel like the same thing happened with PvP, where they made it more appealing for more people so that it's kind of less scary, a bit nicer maybe as well now. It doesn't take really long to get into it and out of it. You can choose what type of PvP you kind of want to do, if you want it broader, if you want smaller clash. But maybe with clan stuff or like organized tournaments, it could turn sour as well. But I'm a fan of it. Like, getting a group together does sound appealing, but yeah,
Well,
it's
we
a
have
tricky
like
thing.
we have it like for Crystal Conflict, like team against team.
Mm.
But yeah, I think overall it is like it is two different system. And what I say before, like mostly my days is like do you dailies and then PvP. I think the most people end of this week's or also did that because I did like I believe 100 matches in 2 days.
Yeah, I thought it was
So
Zeppler
it was
did like
popping off.
so many matches before the servers went down. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it was easy, so it is fun. But also like keep it also separate because yeah, the toxic people, we don't have chat in Crystal Conflict. We have standard buttons like hello,
Yeah,
nice
that's
job,
true.
I
goodbye.
mean, that's a good censorship thing, yeah.
Yeah. So Yoshi P knows what he's doing in PvP. Like we have also like Crystal Conflict tournaments during FanFest. And it was also nice with Frosty as commentator.
Mm.
So it was nice. I think there should be like a different, maybe a different PvP team, but then thinking further like 7.x Dawntrail will be our vacation, and point X.
It's
We don't know what it
obsessed
is.
to 2 years in the
Maybe.
future.
Maybe it is the end of world part
Again.
2.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting that far in 8.1 yet.
No,
I
but
think
it
we
is
have
like-
8 years before everything blows up again.
Yeah, I mean, just before I move on to the next point that somebody in chat made, I think the point about toxicity is incredibly valid because, like Tohme is saying, we have a reputation as the kind of more snowflakey, soft community. But if you've ever been around like a world first or a hardcore raiding group, you know that isn't true. I just think generally because we're the weeb anime MMO, we're seen as softer in general, but like if you know anime fans and manga fans are some of the most degenerate people in the world. So I think it's a good idea to keep as much toxicity out of the game as possible. But I think in order to accommodate the wider variety of content that they could accommodate, they just should hire more GMs and be a bit more active on the BMing side of stuff. Because like we had this drama going on about people using auto markers and actually advertising it in PF, and GMs did nothing about it because they don't seem to care that much. It just only if it's overt toxicity or overt cheating, then they'll do something. But as long as it's kind of a little bit under the radar, not everybody knows what you mean, or you're doing it in whispers and it isn't like directly affecting either the economy of the game or specifically someone's enjoyment of the game, then they seem to kind of let it go. And I'm kind of split on whether or not that's a good thing. But anyway, we're not talking about bad stuff here. We're talking about good and exciting things. So moving on very, very quickly from this. Somebody in chat
I want to
mentioned
put something in it, like
what
about the toxicity.
Okay,
Like,
quickly.
we have like a Final Fantasy. We have like a new system. It's coming tomorrow.
Oh,
The
that's
blacklist
true.
system.
The what system?
The new
Yes, the
blacklist
blacklist.
system. That's
the new
true.
blacklist
I
system.
did not hear about that actually.
No, I didn't
Well,
either.
you can put people on mute. You can blacklist them,
Oh,
and you can vanish them, like
Yeah.
completely from the surface.
oh, really?
Even their character and everything.
Yeah,
Even
if you
the
blacklist
characters will,
someone, the game won't even load them for you. They cease to exist for
Wow.
you.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Can you
awesome.
undo that though?
So
Time to blacklist everyone.
yeah, so basically, if they can't harass you as a
Yes.
character, like run in front of you and do stuff, you
Huh.
just won't see them. At least
Okay, so
that's
if
how it works on
Rato
paper.
is getting too much,
Yeah.
blacklist.
When Brato blocks Izu, he will just cease to exist.
I'll just block all the other 7 people in our raid group, and it just looks like I'm doing it on my own.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't read that. Damn, it slipped me completely. All right. Anyway, moving on. Limited jobs. What do we think about them? Are we excited for them, or I guess it at the moment?
Carefully excited?
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Tohme?
I don't even know what a limited job is right now.
Like Blue Mage, but they're gonna
Oh,
bring
that is a
Beast
limited
Master.
job.
That's
Yeah.
a limited job, yes.
Yeah, I am not here for these things.
Okay, and Chiefy, what about you?
The same. Like,
Same. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the limited jobs is an interesting system. It allows them to be a bit more creative in the way a job works, because obviously you can't take... I guess they wanted to remain as true to Blue Mage as possible, as opposed to adapting all the other classes that they have for the base game, and just be fully transparent in that this is not a job that we're going to be giving you for current content raiding. It will gain 10 levels behind everything else, but we'll also give you the ability to earn spells that one-shots almost everything in the game. These spells look really cool, and it's just another extra thing of side content. And while I think it's a cool idea, I think most of us would kind of just want them to adapt it and now Beastmaster, which is the one coming in Dawntrail, for general use.
I disagree with that.
How dare you? No, sorry, carry on.
Because now that I think about it, well, we don't know how Beastmaster is going to work, but some people have been throwing out that it's going to be like quote unquote Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which it kind of made me think of maybe it's like the creator battles in WoW, where you go around and capture creatures, but at the same time, like you said, you get spells that one shot stuff. It's like they give you jobs that they don't have to balance. It's like, here's a potentially completely broken job, go have fun with it. We can do this without, it's like Hildebrand of classes, in where they go, we can go over the top with this, and we don't have to fear it impacting the end game and the sort of competitive aspect of the game. It's like a class that's a mini game for you to have around and goof around with, without them having to be afraid of it breaking the game, in a sense.
Yeah, no, I can 100% see that point of view. It's just, I mean, me being mostly a melee player, the Blue Mage was just an interesting thing. I was like, cool, this is the only time they're going to do it, and they're just going to update it every expansion to be 10 levels behind with a few new skills, and that'll be fine. And then they announced that they were going to have a new limited job, and everybody knew it was going to be Beastmaster. And I think, unless they do something drastically different in the way that you either earn your beasts, your animals, it's just going to be a physical version of a Blue Mage. And I don't know if I really care that much if it isn't that different. I guess maybe the end goal is to have like 8 limited jobs that you can take into all pieces of content at the end of the game's life cycle in the next, I don't know, 15 years or whatever. And then that will be the most fun you can have with it. But right now, it seems like, I don't want to say a waste, because I don't think it's a waste. I think it's cool content, it's new, and it's something that I don't think any other MMO kind of has at the moment. And like you say, Rhel, it's a way for them to give us a busted class and say, go have fun with it. But I don't know, I think it's just my faith in them being able to adapt all these different types of classes into melee DPS, range DPS, tank healer, whatever, and I would just want to see them adapt it, just because I have tremendous faith in them being able to do it. But if I am in the minority, which is totally possible, then I'm fine with that, because people get more things that they enjoy doing that isn't the things that I enjoy doing, which is kind of the essence of a more social, more casual MMO. So
what I can say, like from the point of view from my brother, for example, he's someone who has been playing the game ever since its release, and he was always there for like the chill aspect of it, and really enjoyed everything that was more laid back, like he loves crafting, gathering. He's addicted to that. He would do that and only do that if he could. But then they introduced, for example, the Blue Mage, and he organizes Blue Mage groups. He organizes people and makes sure everyone at the party gets the skills. Everyone's having a good time. He looks out for his entire FC, for everything Blue Mage, for everyone who's interested, and just collects every spell that he could. Like, he is so proud and so into it. I could never understand it, but it's so adorable to see.
that's cool.
So I think there are people who really appreciate a class like that, and who can just have a really good time to like revisit content, for example, or have this specific goal in mind to get a spell, and they feel this sort of fulfillment with that. Like a Beastmaster could be really cool if you get to like explore the areas again. You revisit areas from older expansions, and you're there to maybe collect some beasts. Like you try to tame them, if we say it's like Pokemon inspired. That could be fun for some people as well, I guess. If they already are into gathering, where's that big of a difference to that? Or fishing? If it's inspired by collecting something again, then it's good for them. So
just imagine you can catch fish as Beastmaster. Okay. My initial reaction was like, oh, it's only going to be land and kind of flying stuff. But
yeah,
like, imagine you can catch fish and use them in battle. That would be great.
I was just mostly stuck on dragons and wyverns, but okay.
Yeah,
Fish.
exactly. Yeah, exactly similar. I was like, yeah, cool. We'll be able to maybe tame the dragons in what is it? Dravanian Forelands, for example, or Somal or whatever. But no, Let's all go catch fish and like Pokemon battle them. That'd be great.
I mean, there are several sea creatures that somehow still kind of survive on land. So yeah, my biggest worry with the class, however,
Mm.
is gonna be Final Fantasy's supremely well-made
System.
pet system.
Yes.
Yeah, fair.
Because if we remember the incredibly fast reaction times of summoner pets back in the day, I'm kind of hesitant how they do it.
That's fair. That's really fair.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
it's not meant for fights. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, at least you'll have an entire team of people struggling to control their pudgy little
What if-
worms that you get from outside of Limsa
Yeah.
What
or
if?
sheep.
Bear with me. What if they are actual, fully controllable summons that you like? Essentially, you transform quotation marks into them
Mm.
as you press
Yeah,
the
could be.
GCDs of them, and you have
But
like
then
a
you
timer.
would be a druid, no?
Kinda.
I guess actually, yeah, that makes yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Release
I
druid
mean, that
instead.
would work. That would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot better than
you assume an
commanding a
aspect
beast.
of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
That would be sick again, but I don't think they go that creative.
Well, I don't know. They might, but that might be too far. One
That
thing that I
would be
wanted to say.
such a cool general class, though. Like for
Mm.
actual content, someone
Yeah.
that transforms.
And we kind of have that. Yeah, not sure if that would
Somewhat,
trample on the
yeah.
monk with monk forms. One thing that I wanted to say
No.
about Blue Mage as well, that it brings to the game that isn't really elsewhere, is builders. It's a build making class
Mm.
in a way.
Yeah.
Because every other class, like normal classes, are very static. Like you have your set of skills. You don't really modify them in any way. Whereas a Blue Mage is, here's a bunch of stuff that you can construct your own character from.
Yeah, you're right.
So I appreciate that aspect as well, because like Tohme said, it tickles the collectors where you go around collecting spells, doing old content in a kind of a new way, doing them with your own made build, which is something that doesn't really exist in this game and hasn't existed since you had attribute points that really didn't matter in the end that much, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see the merits of having the limited jobs and having them be builds specific to what you need, like a tank or a healer, which is, again, like I'm saying, I could 100% be in the minority when it comes to these limited jobs, and that's fine. Opinions.
Yeah. And I also think they are, like, briefly on what Yoshi said of new classes bringing, I do think that they are pretty careful thinking how they can bring classes in and make them work. When he was mentioning that they were thinking of bringing Time Mage next, but they was like, well, you can't really use hastes and slows and stops in this game,
Yeah.
so we can't really make Time Mage and still have it be Time Mage. So in that regard, I have some faith in them making Beastmaster something that actually works with the systems they have. And who knows, maybe they develop a good pet system that allows us to actually have summoner pets again.
Mhm.
I think I know this isn't Time Mage as such, but the animations and the lore for Astro kind of gives it that feel, right? Like that's the point,
Yes.
is that when you heal as an Astro, you're going back in time to when they had that health. Quotation marks. So it's a cool lore explanation, but yeah, exactly. You couldn't really, in the current design philosophy of Final Fantasy XIV, have stuff like haste, because you would just break the game and it would be a completely different game, because then you'd have to have stuff like CC from other MMOs, and that would, of course, be a completely different type of MMO, and we've had this conversation already, and we'll have this conversation forevermore.
You would just be giving them to the Black Mage and Pictomancer now, because they...
all haste to Viper. Excuse me, I need to keep up my 4 different things now. Thank you very much.
No, it's Black Mage and Pictomancer.
Black
sorry.
Mage and Picto. Cool. So next thing I wanted to talk about, exciting stuff, would be the new zones. So some of them we got. Tohme just making an involuntary sound. I love it.
Tohme's so over it.
I'm so excited.
I know. My before I say mine, Rhel, Tohme, and Chiefy will go in order. What zone are you most excited for?
Wow, what zone most excited? Probably the one with lightning. That seemed so much different than any of the others. I'm really curious as to what goes on there, especially considering some of the speculations I've seen, which I won't go into now because I don't know if there are spoilers or not.
Mm.
I've just seen speculations, but that zone seems to me be the most interesting one.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Okay.
There is, if you open the patch notes, for example, again, you can see the pictures. There is one zone where there is this really nice wood, and it has like, it's called Yaktel. It's it has this blue forest, and it just has such a Ghibli vibe to it. It looks like they are like little ghosts in the trees, and it is so adorable to just look at. And I love that. If you have a zone where you want to look at it, it's just so super nice. Another zone that I find really interesting is Solution 9. It has such cyberpunk vibes. It is so not
Yeah, Solution
what
9.
we are
So
used
good.
to. It looks insane. And then I guess it's Tulioland. It looks pretty. The night market thing and the theme of it with all the lanterns. Oh, it's everything I could dream of. Like it feels like my character could come from this expansion for the first time ever, and it just makes me really happy to explore this region then. I think we will get a lot of very pretty glamours from these regions as well. So that's great.
Oh,
Also
yeah.
the cowboy zone. Like there's one zone that just straight up looks like Texas.
Yeah, like a
I
Western,
find that
right?
really
That's
funny,
so cool. I think it's probably a good idea you might not be raiding at the moment, because when you're late to raid, wonder where Tohme is, and she's busy taking glamour shots in fucking Solution 9.
She's
I
been
wouldn't do that.
Gilbly land.
I was on
Yeah.
time and I had a different glamour on every week, okay?
Whatever makes you enjoy the game the most, I guess. And Chiefy, what about you?
Well, it is like Yaktel, what Tohme say already. It is also a beach, so
Yeah.
you will see me there all the time. And in Heritage Found, it looks interesting. It is
Yeah.
like
The purple
below,
RGBs.
below, how it calls, Solution 9, I believe. I think it is below that. So what is the story about it? Like, why it looks like poor? If you do the comparison with what is up there. So, yeah, what is the story there?
It looks like
It
a
looks,
ghost town.
yeah, it looks like a ghost town, but yeah, it
Yeah.
looked like more like a prison, like a ghetto.
Yeah.
I think that's the perpetual thunderstorm zone that I
Yeah.
mentioned. So yeah, I'm super interested in what the story behind that zone is.
It's really interesting because everything else looks like sunshine and rainbows, and then we have this sort of depression waiting for us as well.
Yeah.
Like we know
Tru-
we have a job to do already. It's not vacation, like Chiefy says. There is something for us to explore and find out. So it's a good teaser.
Yeah. Trust me to be interested in the depression zone.
Yeah, right. Bruce
More
Scandinavian.
depression and welcome.
Yeah.
Shadowbringer again.
Scandinavia is
one-
gorgeous.
Oh no,
Just one region.
I have no doubt that Scandinavia, the country, is beautiful. Not the country, the area
Yes.
is
The
beautiful.
country.
Yes, Scandinavia,
Europe,
the
the
country.
land.
Yes, exactly.
in the whole country of
The whole
Scandinavia.
country of Scandinavia, where the people of Nordland live.
Yes.
Yeah, but like we were talking to Rhel earlier, and like every Finnish person, specifically, I know a lot of Swedes and a lot of Danes and stuff. There's very deadpan. Like, they don't get sarcasm quite a lot. So when we try and have conversations with them, and they're not super familiar with the humor that I bring across, it's it very much feels like they're upset all the time or they're angry at you. So yeah, the depression zone makes sense for the country of Scandinavia. But yeah, my favorite is absolutely Solution 9. I think when it seems like they're building off of the relic weapons as well, which is really cool. So hopefully we're able to get some kind of story link between the two. But even if we don't, it's such a sick design. There's purple and blue RGBs, and was it Arcadian that looks like a fucking GPU that seems like it comes from there as well. And you've got the cars and the motorbikes and stuff that hopefully we'll be able to ride. It's so out of the realm of what you'd expect from Final Fantasy XIV that I'm so excited to see how and why that place exists, especially in a place where we're going to that's very heavily inspired by South America as well. Like, I don't know, are they pulling a kind of Doma and was it Alamigo, where they kind of in one expansion where we go to two places with Section 9 and Tuliolal, or is it just kind of the same place? I can't quite remember.
I think it's 2, because if I remember right, and it's in the trailer as well, the FanFest trailer. There's a bridge separating like what is it called, the southern continent. It's literally split in 2.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's going to be like one section is the Southern American stuff, and then when we go north, it's going to be more towards Solution 9.
North America.
Yes, the high tech and the fun part.
It's just such a crazy split. Like, it's so surreal, as if you would need to use a teleporter or something to get there to see this technology. It feels like a completely different game, actually. So it sparks a lot of excitement.
And they're not Allegan, I think. For once.
No, oh god, I swear, people have annoyed me so much with how much they're like, oh, it's new Allegan technology. Leave it alone, please. Just let them expand outside of Allegan technology, which is seemingly the only advanced technology that they could put into the game for this Zodiac and Hydaelyn arc. Just let them expand. It's not Allegan technology. I'm calling it here. It ain't. All right?
Nah, it's too colorful.
It's true. Not
has
enough
to be
gold
something
lines
else.
and
Yeah, exactly. It's too futuristic. Maybe it doesn't even make sense if it would be like a subgroup of elegance or something. No, it's like such a different style from everything we've ever seen before in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
That they need to introduce us to new groups, to new parties, and maybe it's an area for a new bad group as well. The possibilities are perhaps endless. As of now, we can only speculate, but it just feels so advanced to what we see for the other regions, where it's more rural seeming and more connected to the nature. That there has to be a significant split. There has to be the backstory that explains to us why it is like that. And
I mean, it could be an offshoot of Allegan Empire, but I hope it's not. I just hope
no.
they leave Alleg with Zodiac and Hydaelyn stuff, because it was in a way very integrally, very, very tightly tied to Emmet Selk. So I'm hoping that with him gone and the whole ASEAN thing now passed, we will leave Alleg to where it is, and they actually come up with something new.
Yeah,
A new
it would be
ancient
nice.
high-tech race that has actually survived and didn't burn themselves.
Yeah. No, it would be a lot more fitting if we were to meet something new, because this is a new beginning for us, a new world. It can't just be rinse and repeat. They made us this excited for new things. It would be a real bummer if it's really just recycled elegant stuff.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting a whole new civilization from Yoshi.
Yeah.
We call it NVIDIA.
The Nvidians.
Yes.
The Nvidians.
Just add one letter like NVIDIA.
Fighting
Copyright. Totally original.
The AMD core or whatever.
Yes. Amadi.
Oh man. All right. Anything else that you peeps are excited for with Dawntrail? I mean, I was just gonna, while you think of that, I'm going to. How many hours have we got left? Hold on.
Of the podcast?
Yeah, we're gonna do the. Yeah, we're gonna go until the servers open. All right.
Oh my god! Okay, it's a party.
I can't do that. I need to. I promised myself that I would.
I think we
go
should
for an
all
early morning
try
gym.
and sleep. Yeah. What time do servers open? Actually, we know.
9 GMT.
GMT. Okay, so we've
Scheduled. Of course, they usually open a bit
got
earlier. but-
scheduled, yeah. So it's like just over 13 hours from now. Well, no,
Yeah,
we're in
something like
BST, so I don't know, 12, 13 hours, something like that. So yeah, about half a day. But yeah, anything else that you peeps are excited for when it comes to Dawntrail? Anything in chat that we can talk about as well? Give us some suggestions or...
Well, what do you think about female hardcore?
Oh,
no.
I love it.
I was a bit surprised by their faces, but they've grown on me after I actually saw them in action in the last
Mm.
section of the story.
I
Mm.
I'm not
was
mad.
skeptical at first as well, but
Yeah.
I made one myself. I know I'm not gonna change, but I made one and I just fell in love with her. She was so adorable that it convinced me that they can look cute as well. So
Yeah.
that's a good change. And yeah, I guess it will make furry people very happy to have female Rothgars. I guess the fan art will come in for that as well, but
I'm
I'm just
surprised it doesn't
excited
exist
to see
already.
more options. It's so
Yeah.
cute. They can be
I
really
do-
cute, and their emotes.
I do want a straight back toggle for
Yes.
males now. Like
Mm.
really.
Yeah.
That is kind of the only reason I'm not immediately switching to Hrothgar, is just that hunch. It just kills it for me.
Like
Had
the
they gone
Elizabeth
full had they gone full beast like in Guild Wars 2 where the Char, who are hunched as well, actually run on their four, like
Mm.
really lead into it, I would have been more fine with it, but they just run hunched with a
Yeah.
bad back. But then you have these like stances and stuff that have you stand straight. So I'm like, please just let us. You already have that, so let us use that all the time. But yeah, I am fully for female Rothgar. They do seem well enough done that I'm not mad.
Yeah, well, what's the name of the character that's also on the ship? I can't remember her name. The
Oh,
female.
she's adorable, isn't she?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, she's adorable, but she's also got this like majestic look to her, like a proper
Yes.
lion would, which is really,
Yes.
really cool considering that it's
She's
just
so
another furry
proud.
race. Yeah, exactly.
I love her.
Well, I just
we
remember
saw
her as the kind of go on.
and I was like, no, a girl.
Ew,
She's a
girl.
warrior, and she looks so adorable. And then we did the final parts of the story with her that made me so happy. It got me really hyped for Dawntrail, actually, just to see her, the first character of this new expansion. I wish I would remember her name, because she introduced herself, and it was so cute, the way she talked and everything.
Wuklamat.
I'm so
That's her name.
excited for her.
Wuklamat. Thank you, Myth. Yes, she is cool. She was
I just
kind
remember
of...
her as being
go on.
dorky.
I
She's
think
a bit of a
personality-wise, yeah, but like
Yeah.
aesthetics-wise, she looks really cool in my opinion.
Yeah, she
Oh,
does.
Yes.
The dorkiness kind of the personality kind of faded away. Any majestism that she had. at the
She's a
moment
little
we-
bit of a golden retriever, okay? But that makes
Yeah,
her
exactly. I
more
was like,
charming.
Okay, so she's going to be one of these characters, but it's fine. I'm sure she'll. I imagine it's going to be a bit like Lee's, where she grows up during the arc from the insecure, whatever
Mhm.
she was now, and she becomes more of a fitting ruler.
No, I must say, for me, she has made an impression on where she knows where she's standing already. Like, she knows the responsibilities that she carries. She is already talking about ascending the throne, and she seems to be finding a lot of pride in that. And at the same time, maybe it's the trait of picking up the big axe, but you kind of get the pea-sized brain at the same time, and you notice that with her when she's fighting. When she's like, oh, I got this. I can handle that. Nobody else needs to be here. I'm the best. That kind of vibe when we did this instance with her was what sold her completely to me. And so I find it really refreshing because Lisa didn't really do it for me. I found her more annoying, like Alice as well. So she is
Wow.
a really fresh one for me, and it's great.
I like Alize. Lise, I kind of agree with you, but yeah, what I was getting at was the growth arc, kind of in our Rothgar main character in Wook, I kind of got the I can do this. It's her desperation to prove herself and seem stronger than she is. Like it seems like she's more of a novice warrior who's putting more of a strong front, trying to hide the fact that she's still experienced. She doesn't feel ready for the responsibilities that she knows she has to take. So I'm expecting kind of a story growth arc where she grows to be the person that she's trying to portray that
Yeah, I
she
can see that.
supposedly is.
That
Which
I
is
can
kind
understand.
yeah, which is kind of what I expect. Why I was paralleling Lee's, in that she was very forward when she didn't really like. You got to do this. This is what she was more. She had an idea of what she should be and what people should do in the resistance when she really had no clue, and it was kind of a growth arc for her from the pretending to be her sister and trying to fill shoes that weren't really hers into the leader that she then grew up to be, which is bringing people of Alamigo together and kind of helping form the government. So I'm kind of expecting, at least to an extent, a growth story for a budding ruler who's trying to save or rebuild her homeland from a pending disaster.
Yeah, I think we will for sure see that certain growth, and I think there will also be moments of doubt for her.
Yeah.
But overall, she seemed a bit more confident. Maybe it comes with the race. Like, I feel like Rothgars are always a bit more proud in their appearance and how they like emote already, and just the looks of them. So she feels like a lion or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And
But
she's also
I can see where she has to still grow. Like, we all have to grow, so
yeah.
cut her some slack.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
To me, it's an interesting thing, but also the starting point for her and Lee's are different because Lee's grew up away from her family and didn't really like grow up into a leadership position. She was trying to be someone she wasn't, and didn't really let herself grow. Like from Realm Reborn, you kind of see her try to be something she's not. Whereas as Wook has grown up under a leader, knowing that she will be one of the four to potentially inherit the throne. So I believe she's kind of been raised and prepared for this more.
Yeah.
So that gives her a different starting point and maybe a different like trajectory towards where she's going to go. Like similar story, but from a different point. I'm expecting.
I see that.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Right. Well, I don't think we have anything else to discuss unless there's something else that any of you have thought of in the last 5 or so minutes.
You can equip faceware now.
Yeah.
That's true.
True.
And two channel dies.
2 dies, yeah. I mean...
Yes.
And Pictum has a limit break, which is a Spriggan. That's best.
Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. But speaking of limit breaks, though, while the Pictomancer one is actually really cool, I still think I prefer the Viper one, just because it has the snakeskin kind of aura as it goes around. It's quintessential anime, like shonen anime, and I fucking love it. It looks so cool.
I think they did a really good job with Viper.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this
Pictomancer is there.
Well, I'm not going to be disparaging about Pictomancer because I actually think Pictomancer is probably, I'm going to get heat for this, better designed than Viper because it's
more unique.
Yes, it's wholly unique in the way that it works with its with the creature, the weapon, and then what's it called? Landscapes.
The motifs.
Yeah. So the 3 motifs: the creature, the weapons, the creature, and then the landscapes. And then the kind of filler isn't that unique, but it still gives you unique resources, which is really cool. With Viper, it looks awesome, and it basically is like a Soul Calibur character, and it's awesome. But it feels like, or not feels because I haven't played it yet, but it looks like it's going to be an amalgamation of Samurai, Monk, and
Reaper?
Reaper, yes, and Reaper. So Reaper because it's got the same or very similar kind of burst mechanic. Monk, because you have to keep up all of these kind of debuffs and buffs on the enemy and yourself to make sure that you're cycling through them and keeping them applied. And then Samurai, because it feels like you're kind of free in how you apply them in the first place, but then as soon as you've applied them, you're able to cycle through them relatively easily because of the visual indicators that you get once you go through the 1, 2, 3s and 1, 2, 3, 4s and stuff. If I was a caster, I'd be super happy with Pictomancer. So I didn't really understand the hate when it was announced and you could see all the kind of cartoony things, because it's, in my opinion, it suits the aesthetic of the game really, really well. But obviously, being a weeb, I love the melee stuff. So Viper, right at home.
Yeah, I think I am more on the side that we're criticizing Pictomancer. I feel like it's not really made for the game. I feel like it's too goofy because I like more serious classes. But I'm not one who would be open about it and hate on it and
Well, you've
ruin
been
the
very
fun
open
for
about it
other
right now. You're on the internet saying
I said that I feel that way, but I don't communicate it in like a forum or I complain about it on some TikToks. It's my opinion, but I'm good at keeping it to myself because I know other people are so excited for it, and I think it's adorable that other people can feel so much joy for it and they will bring the love others may not be able to share for it. But it's the same for every class, and that's why we have so many and we can play them all, because everyone likes something else. And I think that makes it fine. Like, you're not forced to play it, so just let it be. So it's fine.
I don't play healers or tanks because I find them
Exactly.
boring and I don't like them.
Exactly, and we all have our opinions, and I think that's
Yeah.
the beauty on it all. Like, we can all feel different.
Yeah. Although I'm sad that they probably won't have a Moogle. Like, this is the one class that I could see myself wearing a Moogle weapon for because it somehow fits. And they didn't bring out Moogle weapons for Reaper, so I don't think they're going to bring Moogle weapons for this class either.
Maybe if you send a letter to Yoshi and try to convince him, it could work.
Yeah, I mean, you never
maybe.
know.
Yeah. I do kind of understand you saying
forums.
like all the criticism that people had when it was first announced. I was a bit like, it doesn't seem like, at least animation wise, it didn't seem like it fits. But then I was like, okay, but it's kind of a cartoony game in a sense. How do you make something look painted in a game that's not hyper realistic? Well, you have to make it even more cartoony. So in that sense, I think the animations work, and I think they might have improved on them since their initial release trailer, because at least to me, the spells look better now than they did when it was first announced.
That could be the case. I have not watched it recently. Like, I just skipped through that preview of it because I know I won't be playing it, so didn't bother watching. But yeah, I know other people will love it, so that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, about the it being more unique than Viper, I think we talked about this during the ranged DP, the caster podcast as well, and I said that I think the uniqueness comes from the fact that it's a magic class, and with magic you can you have more freedom to go to different places and throw in different elements, whereas when you stick to physical weapons, there's, I think, only so many ways that you can kind of make a slashy class. While for it to remain slashy until it stops being a sword wielder. So
yeah, for sure. Which is why I think that in future they could, move away from just a single-edged weapon archetype, because while we now have a single blade, we have the knives for or just tantos, whatever you want to fucking call them, for ninja. Now you've got the dual blade and the other, what do you call it, dual blade and twin blade, I guess. They could 100% start moving into other areas. So you've got blunt weapons, you have hook weapons. If they wanted to incorporate some new kinds of animations while still keeping a melee job, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. And just to kind of sprinkle a bit of other genres in there, that's kind of the problem that people are having with fighting games at the moment, where they're so bored of current archetypes because the same things get put into the game every single time a new one comes out, and nothing unique is iterated upon, or nothing is iterated upon enough that people find them interesting. So when it comes to physical melee, it's harder, absolutely, because you want to appeal to as wide a base as audience when you make a class, so that as many people pre-order your expansion or buy the expansion just to have access to it and then play the class, so you get as much info as possible. I think experimenting a bit more with non-traditional weapons would be really exciting to see outside of the magic aspect of class design. I mean, yeah, that's a fine idea as well, because you'd still make it a melee class. It wouldn't be a range class unless you wanted to make the whip like 50 feet long. But
I do hope that they stop making classes now, though. Like
Yeah,
at least for a
same.
while. Like if one thing that did come to my mind is them talking about the whole bringing more stress to the game, and them having gone too far in stripping away mechanics that people don't like to make the raids more appealing, like making it, drying up their sort of well of mechanics they can throw in, and this expansion being kind of like, well, we're fixing raids now and mechanics, and then the next expansion is them looking to class identity. So I hope that for the next expansion they don't make a new class, they use all that resource and all that time to really look at the classes we have now and elevate them to be more unique, and to break maybe the 2-minute cycles and really bring them their own identities.
Yeah,
I mean, just looking at the job guide now, we've got 4 tanks, we've got 4 healers, we've got 6 melee DPS, 3 physical ranged, and 4 magic ranged. So if we're going for even numbers, I could maybe see them doing 1 last physical ranged, and then that's it, because then we will have even numbers for our rolls. But I 100% agree. I think enough classes, start balancing now. This is the time.
For now.
Yeah.
Like in the future, sure. But like instead of bringing new stuff all the time, go back and look at the stuff that you have now and see if you can't elevate them and bring even more like class identity to the ones that you already have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Black Mage, the only thing it's really gotten is more mobility tools, but and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I really enjoy Black Mage, and having it go through an overhaul might really break it for me. But it's still kind of, to me, it's still kind of the same class that you start from Realm Reborn with, is that you cycle between fire and ice. Like the core mechanics are still there, and it's still kind of the same. You just got new tools and maybe a few new spells without really changing what it is.
Yeah, I think. I mean, sorry, I just read the chat there that somebody said. HP said he doesn't like levels higher than 100 and has mentioned prestige classes. I think, just to further expand on Rhel's suggestion of no more classes, no more levels. Like, we've got to the point where we already had to have a level and a damage squish because we got too high. Now we're at level 100. I guess we can kind of just stop with what is it called? Horizontal progression or vertical progression? I can't remember what we have at the moment. But
vertical.
It is vertical, isn't it?
We're going up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
yes.
But I didn't know if it was because horizontal still means like a straight line. But anyway, yeah. It could be that we just stop gaining XP now, and now we start moving into purely defined roles within our jobs. So.
What do you mean mastery?
Kind of,
like Guild Wars 2.
Kinda, yeah. But I also kind of dislike the idea of builds, because there will always be a build that's best. So it's this illusion of choice, which kind of annoys me when games do this. If they're ever able to not make a build system where you just beeline the best thing for your specific job and your specific role, then that would be amazing. But I think that, and I said this in the healer podcast, if we just take damage away from healers, we take most of the damage away from tanks, we keep it to the DPS, we make the tanks mitigation and aggro machines, we make the healers healing and shielding machines, and the DPS are just the damage machines. These are your roles, this is what you do, and outside of stuff like group content, you are catered to in other ways. Because obviously, if a healer and a tank can't do damage, then they can't, participate in open world stuff that easily because their damage output's bad.
Yeah.
But outside of that stuff, you can pretty easily accommodate it for bigger group content like extremes and savages and ultimates. But I know this might not be a popular opinion among most people because everybody wants to do damage, right?
Yeah, I think I would just bonk my head into a wall if I couldn't do damage because it would be really boring.
Even if you had a more defined role as a tank where you had to use a really good CD rotation and aggro keeping rotation compared to having damage.
Aggro keeping is for dumbos at this rate in general. Like
Yeah,
there
but if
is
they
no
brought it
struggle
back.
over it.
Yeah, I'm basically saying that if they brought it
Yeah,
back in
maybe,
the
but-
aggro, even if they take aggro out of the equation and
Don't take the fell cleave away from me.
you can keep
They can
fel-
still do
you
that.
can
It just
keep
won't
fel
go
cleave.
brrr.
Yeah,
You
I
have
mean
Primal Rend.
it will still
Primal
go brr.
Rend.
It will do something like give extra mitigation to the party or to you for a tank buster or something. Like,
But shake it off is so nice. I don't know. I think that would be a little bit unrewarding for tanks who actually put effort into keeping their uptime and still mitigating and doing their jobs.
well, no, that's what I'm saying is that you would still have to attack the boss, and you would still your responsibility would be keeping aggro and mitigating, but your damage moves, your GCD rotation wouldn't just purely be, or 90% of it wouldn't be about dealing the most damage. It would be applying the correct thing that your GCD applies at the right time to help with mitigation, or to help with a swap, or to help with an extra mechanic that a DPS may need something for.
I feel like the problem would there though be that you would heavily rely on the DPS, and the DPS are often also players who don't feel comfortable healing and tanking, and
Not DPSing.
then they maybe struggle with the responsibility of having to deal all the damage by themselves.
That's the point of a DPS role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
but that
that's
would
a
ruin
job.
the
That's why
fun
we
for a
have
lot
warriors.
of people who want to have a good time instead of a try-hard time, I feel.
I mean, if
But
your
sometimes
if your good
when I
time is
look
standing
back,
there and casting
I
cure as a
started
red
the
mage,
game
then
as a summoner, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that I could be a noob. And it would be fine because there are people who feel responsible for carrying the content, who keep newbies safe. And if I'm a noob again and I would have to carry the content, I think that would intimidate a lot of players.
What if they were being carried by you?
No, if they would have to carry the entire party for their DPS.
Well, no.
I mean, that's what the dungeons are for, and there's usually more than one DPS.
Yeah, I don't know.
But like dungeons are kind of still the and should be the
But that would-
learning curve of the game, where you are taught most of the basics of what your role is, and these are the most basic mechanics. Like that's what the dungeons and the bosses are kind of there for.
But have you never been into a dungeon and there are two dancers who both don't deal any damage, and you're like, wow, this is taking 40 minutes to clear. I
Yes.
just wanted a quick
But
expert run. And if
that's
you
the
have
problem
that every
with that's the
time-
problem with them though, and they can get good on their own time. But when you jump into bigger group content like Savage and Extremes and Ultimates, that's where the test of these roles should really shine, because that's what they're there for. They need to be able to accommodate for bigger damage output from bosses, so that healers feel like they don't just have to stand there and OGCD heal and then DPS, but they have to use their MP for something, because it's very rare that they're going to be running out of MP, even at like the last tier of a Savage fight, even in Ultimates and stuff. If you're not optimizing, then you will eventually do something wrong and you'll die, or you'll run out of MP or whatever. And I think that's ultimately what these specific levels of difficulty should aim towards. Obviously to a lesser degree when you talk about extremes, because they need to be as accessible as possible while still being a level of difficulty that in essence gatekeeps people from being able to do it, because it still needs to be difficult. But then you get to Savages and Ultimates, and that really tests your group dynamic of how you do a mitigation rotation, how you keep aggro, where your swaps are, where the DPS can burst if there's a bit of downtime. Is there an ad phase where you need to save mitigation for? At the moment, those things exist, but not really as intensely as I personally would like them to be. That's my thoughts on the matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be honest, I can see where this is coming from, but I can also see where that could be difficult.
Oh, I don't doubt that it would be difficult, but that's
the developer's
that's
job
the
to
thing.
figure
That's
out.
not for us to figure out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the developers.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Lovely. Anything else?
Well, we are talking about jobs and classes.
Mhm.
Should there be the next healer class be a class and not a job?
Oh, what you wanted
What
to?
I mean by that is like you start at level 1.
No.
Because we have
No.
only one healer at level 1, and when you are 30, you can get Scholar.
That's true.
That's the second healer.
That is
What
true.
a loss. Oh my.
No.
That is
I don't
true.
think so.
Actually, but yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think that's appealing to anyone who's been playing the game for a long time. To start it.
Well,
No,
they
isn't
could
it like-
make a toggle in that
Yes.
in that if you have a class at a certain level, that the story could be like, oh, you have experience in fighting. Okay, well, I can teach you the more advanced stuff, as opposed to if you make it in a character at the moment of character creation, you start at level 1 as that job.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could do something like that where you basically level skip to level whatever. If you have one class at max level, so you just, here you go.
Yeah, I
Start
guess.
from this.
I guess that would be a very nice option then.
I mean, personally, if it was a choice, I would say no. But the choice being there, I guess, is fine. Like, if you want to start from a level 1 Viper rather than level 80, then go for it. But
No, it is more like we have only like one healer class at level 1 to learn actually healer. But we don't have we have now like 2 different healers. We have the shield healers and we have the raw healers. And if you are starting at Scholar at 30, the learning curve from level 1 to 30, you don't have. Back in the day when Rhel Reborn, you had, I believe, what's it called? The class from White Mage.
Conjurer?
Conjurer? Yes.
I think.
You need to have it at level 30 before you can from Arcanist to Scholar.
Yep.
So, and now it is not. So you don't really an Arcanist, and you are 30, you can go to Scholar to have better queuing time and not anticipate with a healer strike. Yeah. You have not the learning curve from 1 to 30.
I mean, if the
Maybe it is a
option
miss.
is like if the option is there, then that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, I have no problem with it. I personally wouldn't do it, but
Oh, it is
Yeah.
more like need to be a new healer class at level 1, and for experienced paid people, like it required like to be level 70. Then you can start as level 70 or something with that healer class. Your queues will be fast as fuck as healer because nobody wants to heal.
That's not true. Some people love that.
Yeah, we have a healer strike, but
we don't have a healer strike. Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
If
Watch tomorrow,
I swear,
and people
Rhel,
will
if
still
we
be
queue
healing
into
dungeons.
a dungeon and we get a healer who stands there doing nothing, I'm going to flip my lid. I swear to God.
That's when you drag Jen in and have her heal.
I know,
Oh
right?
my god, yes.
I mean, luckily, I think we've
Yes.
got I can't remember what Mueller's going to play, tank or healer. Hopefully, fuck it, we'll just make him play healer, so we don't have to deal with any potential stray healer strike idiots.
The point about the prestige classes, by the way, that was brought up. That's an interesting thing that they're considering that, because that sounds like them going back to a system that they've been actively trying to get sort of maybe not rid of but fade away, which is the class to job system,
Yeah.
where all new classes just start out as a job. You don't have, like, from Heavensward onwards, they've kind of been fading away the class to job system and just made jobs. So for them to make prestige classes kind of sounds like, okay, well, we put a class on top of your class now. So that's an interesting like concept of going kind of back on a system that you've been trying to get rid of.
Mm.
Or would be.
Yeah, to a degree. I think maybe a prestige system. I mean, when I think prestige system, I immediately think of Call of Duty, and it just, you have this shiny new badge, but you reset everything, which is why I never prestiged in CODs, because it just seemed like a waste of time to me. I earned all my guns and my attachments, let me use them.
I just imagine people spamming their mastery like they do in League. That's not good.
For me, prestige class reminds me of Ragnarok Online,
I'm not familiar with
where you
either
would
of
level
them,
a class to max, and then you would start from level 1 with increased stats, and because that heavily relies on the class system, where you start as a novice and you get your first class and then your second class. But as soon as you, I think, get out of the first classes, then you get a new class entirely. So it sounds to me like, yeah, you maxed out your black mage or whatever, and then you get a prestige class and you start as an archmage or something. Like, you restart leveling an entirely new class that kind of builds upon what you have, but is with more powerful spells, and like everything upgrades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what it
sounds
sounds
like
to
a
me.
hassle.
Yeah, and probably doesn't work for this game, but that's what I think of whenever someone says prestige class.
I mean, if there ever was a way to expand on the system that we have now without just making new classes, and increasing the level to 110, 120, whatever, I'd be open to understanding what it is, but it would need to be something worthwhile to make the class eventually feel substantially different at the end of the prestiging, that it was worth the investment, but also still made your class fun to play and not taking away the identity too much, right? Like, there's all sorts of problems that arise from doing this thing like prestiging if you want to do it. Because if you prestige in the COD way, all it is just giving you a shiny new emblem, and for some people that's fine, but in an MMO where it feels like everything needs to be as tightly hammered down as possible in terms of your class identity, the way your class plays, the speed of your class, and XYZ, having a prestige system, you have to balance it really, really well, or people just get pissed that your class was this one thing and now is this completely different thing because of a prestige system.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of was like the Awakening in Black Desert. I guess you could maybe do that, which kind of the quote unquote best way of doing it. But then
That would be cool though.
What if the limited jobs are their way of exploring how to expand the classes?
Yeah,
they just go, well, Blue Mage, maybe not, doesn't work. What about Beastmaster? This style, not really.
Yeah.
Just throw in ideas that they can then refine into prestige classes and go, well, get used to these now, and then we'll implement them later for the real classes.
Honestly, I swear I would just love to be a fly on the wall in these what are they called now? Business Studio 3?
Yeah.
Creative Business Studio 3? I can't remember. I just want to be a fly on the wall in those meetings and just hear what Yoshi P is suggesting and what the developers are talking about, because obviously we only get the end result where those meetings have been had and discussions have taken place, and then we get the end result. But who knows what gold mine that they could be sitting on that they're not implementing because they feel they don't have time, or that they won't get funding for it, or that they think that at the moment
it's too drastic that players don't will like it.
Yeah, exactly. That players won't be engaged enough with it. Who knows?
Well, you just need to get as popular and as
Right?
famous as
That's
Preach,
what I'm
and
saying.
then you'll get to sit with your GP on dinner and discuss game design.
This is what I was saying. You gotta shill me to everyone you know. Friends, family, partners, work colleagues, everyone, so that I can become famous and I can talk to
Hey,
Yoshi P.
Mom, I got this British lad. Can you listen to his podcast about a game you have no idea about? Yeah,
He
sure.
mostly plays fighting games though, but it's fine.
Not anymore, not at the moment. MMOs all the
You
way.
say
Well,
that now.
14. Well, until fucking Soul Calibur 7 comes out, but this is a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. Anything else? Chiefy, anything stored in that brain box?
PvP.
Don't, no. Stop.
Will it be white
Vacation.
sand or yellow sand?
White sand.
Okay.
White
Rainbow sand.
We're gonna end. Right. Thank
Oh,
you everybody for
one
watching. What?
One question.
What?
Will there ever be fries in the game?
Or what, sorry?
Fries. We
Rice.
need fries.
Oh, fries.
Fries.
Oh, I thought
Yes,
rice.
fries.
That's what he said,
I'm
rice.
sure there's a fry
Is
No.
there a fries?
meal somewhere. I mean, there's pizza.
I believe
Maybe
it is
this
pizza.
Probably.
expansion.
Yeah,
Maybe.
right? With the
Let's
tacos,
hope.
you never know. The
Yes.
gamut of
like-
food runs deep.
Final Fantasy McDonald's.
None of us spoke of crafting? Yeah, because crafting sucks. Right. Thank you everybody for watching. That was the Soulcast number 3. What makes you excited for Dawntrail? That's going to be goodbye from Rhel.
Bye.
Goodbye from Tohme.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye from Chiefy.
Bye.
And goodbye from me. I'm not going to be carrying on the stream today. I'm going to try and get as much sleep as possible. And then tomorrow we're up bright and early. Dawntrail. Gonna fucking love it. Obviously, we have the YouTube channel where we upload these a few days after they go live. So please go and check that out. And then whenever this goes live as well on YouTube, send this to all your friends. So yeah. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all in Dawntrail tomorrow.